Welcome back, and I'm really excited to introduce our next speaker. His name is Simon Duan, and he's the founder and CEO of Metacomputics Labs. And the name of his talk is Platonic Computer, the universal machine from which psi is generated. Dr. Simon Duan is the founder of Metacomputics Labs, which researches post-materialism paradigms that unify consciousness, mind, and matter. He came from China to the UK to study in the 80s. After receiving a PhD in materials science from Cambridge University, he worked in research and development, technology commercialization, and management consultancy in both the UK and China. He has long-standing interest in paranormal research and was past vice president of the Chinese Parapsychology Association. And we have a pre-recorded video because he knows better than to take such chances. Okay, thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Simon Duan, and I'm the founder of Metacomputics Labs based in the UK. The title of my talk today is Platonic Computer, the universal machine from which psi is generated. In this talk, I'll start by reviewing the simulation hypothesis. I will then introduce the concept of Platonic computer, which is at the core of Metacomputics model. This is followed by some analysis of Metacomputics model. Finally, I'll discuss the interdependence of simulation hypothesis and parapsychology for their further development. The history of simulation hypothesis can be traced back to 50 years ago. As early as 1969, Konrad Rose, a German computer scientist, suggested that the entire universe is being computed on a computer. John Wheeler, the renowned physicist, in early 1990 proposed a now famous phrase, "it from bit." All things physical are information theoretic in origin. Edward Fredkin is another American computer scientist. He further speculated that there is this place, other, that hosts the engine that runs the physics. In the last few decades, there has been many science fiction novels, movies, and TV series based on the idea that we are living in a computer-generated reality. These sci-fi works, particularly the movie Matrix, popularized the idea to a very large audience. At the same time, more and more professional philosophers and scientists are taking the idea seriously and have been writing books, magazine articles, and getting involved in debating if we are living in a computer simulation. Let's watch a short video clip to get a flavor of these discussions.
What is life for Elon Musk?
As I get older, I find that question to be confusing or troubling. I think particularly when you see the advancement of something like video games. Like say 40 years ago, the most advanced video game would be like Pong, where you had like two rectangles and a dot. But now you can see a video game that's photorealistic and millions of people playing simultaneously, and you see where things are going with virtual reality. Then eventually those games will be indistinguishable from reality. They'll be so realistic, you will not be able to tell the difference between that game and the reality as we know it. How do we know that that didn't happen in the past and that we're not in one of those games ourselves?
Tonight's topic is the universe a computer simulation? We've got some highly thoughtful, talented, respected people to weigh in on this.
The more I learned about later on as a physicist, the more struck I was that when you get deep down under the hood about how nature works, how can I be sure that this mathematical reality isn't actually some kind of game or simulation?
In my research, I had found this very strange thing, error-correcting codes, error correcting codes are what make browsers work. So why were they in the equations that I was studying about quarks and leptons and supersymmetry? And that's what brought me to this very stark realization that I could no longer say that people like Max were crazy.
So you're saying as you dig deeper, you find computer code writ in the fabric of the cosmos.
Computer code, strings of bits of ones and zeros.
The guy who really started forcing scientists to take this a bit more seriously and gave this idea a bit more scientific street cred, I think, is Nick Bostrom, my fellow Swede, Nick Bostrom.
We are almost certainly living in a simulation. It's a little bit complex, but it's really not more complex than most educated people could probably get their heads around if they thought about it for half an hour, kind of, if they actually tried.
You know, there's this interesting argument by your colleague at Oxford, Nick Bostrom. He argues that the notion of a simulated universe, what do you think about that?
I can't see how you could refute it. I mean, I can't see how you would actually be sure that we're not.
These experts are favoring the simulation argument, but there are many others who disagree. There are live debates on internet on this topic. If you search the term simulation hypothesis, you get over 1.2 billion search results. Most debates focus on if we are living in a computer simulation, or what are the chances that we are living in a computer simulation. I think debating this question is actually missing the point. The reason being that the true nature of the universe, or the universe in itself, according to Immanuel Kant, is unknowable. If it is unknowable, whatever we think the universe is cannot be true. If an elephant is unknowable to blind people, what they understand about elephant can only be metaphors such as a fan, pillar, tube, etc. Therefore, arguing whether the universe is a computer simulation is like arguing among the blind if an elephant is a fan or a pillar or a tube. Of course, the elephant is not a fan or a tube. Of course, the universe is not a computer simulation. Is the universe a computer simulation is thus a pointless question to ask. The worthwhile question to ask is, can we model the universe as a computer simulation? These are two very different questions. Do you see the difference? By asking the right question, we get on the track to do science instead of just speculating. If we can build a model, we do science. In science, we rely heavily on metaphors to build the models of the universe. The metaphors are picked from concepts we are already familiar with. These concepts evolve through time too. In mechanical era, we had a conceptual metaphor such as clocks and watches, so we modeled the macro universe as a clock-like machine. When human society was electrified, we had electricity as a conceptual metaphor, so we modeled the micro-universe as electrically charged particles. Now we are in the information age. We have new conceptual metaphors available to us. The new conceptual tools available to us nowadays including computer, information processing, big data, simulation, virtual reality, artificial intelligence. With these new conceptual tools, we can build a new model of the universe. To build a new model of the universe based on computer simulation metaphor, we need to address a number of key questions. These questions include: where is the computer? Where does it come from? What is it made of? How is it built? What are its properties? and who or what is the programmer? To address the first question, where is the computer? We'll seek insights from arguably the greatest philosopher of all time. Whitehead once commented, "The safest general characterization of European philosophical tradition is that it consists of a series of footnotes to Plato." Plato is certainly no ordinary philosopher. I have little doubt that Plato is an enlightened being. Therefore, his insights ought to be taken seriously, particularly the insights into the ideal realm of forms. According to Plato, physical existence is a shadow or poor imitation of the ideal realm of existence. Abstract entities exist in the realm of forms, which operates as the fundamental reality. Material objects in the physical reality resemble their perfect abstract forms to varying degrees. For example, in the realm of forms, there is an ideal dog form, an abstract dogness as a universal. Dogs in the material reality of all shapes and sizes are shadows of this ideal dog form. Based on such principle, it is postulated that the everyday material computer made of silicon is only a shadow or poor imitation of the perfect abstract metaphysical computer that exists in the realm of forms. We call this abstract metaphysical computer Platonic computer. The physical computer resembles the way Platonic computer computes, so both computers do computation. Let's remind ourselves what is computation. In essence, computation is very simple. To compute is to answer a binary question. So, what is the question?
To be or not to be, that is the question.
So, computation is to determine a choice of binary, to be or not to be, yes or no, on or off, 0 or 1, according to a set of rules. In physical computer, the binary is on and off switch made of silicon material. We have input, which is binary. We have output, which is also binary. In Platonic computer, the binary switch is metaphysical one made of meta-consciousness. Manifested meta-consciousness as on and unmanifested meta-consciousness as off. I'll come back to the definition of meta-consciousness in a moment. With a switch made of binary states of meta-consciousness, we can construct an operating metaphysical computer. Using the metaphysical binary, we can construct 3 faculties. A database consists of metadata, which is specific configurations of zeros and ones. A program pack, which is sequence of codes in binary opposites, and a processor made of on-off switches. So the Platonic computer is made of meta-consciousness. But what is meta-consciousness? The nature of meta-consciousness is non-dual, meaning there is no subject-object separation. Therefore, meta-consciousness is not an object to be understood or to be described. We cannot see what it is, so we can only see what it is not. We often describe it negatively, using terms such as timeless, dimensionless, formless, contentless, infinite, nothing, non-changing, non-destructible. However, as we want to use meta-consciousness as the starting point to build our model, we need to define it somehow. So we give meta-consciousness a working definition. Here is the working definition. Meta-consciousness is defined as the power to conceive, i.e. to create, to perceive, i.e. to experience, and to be self-aware, i.e. there is this inherent subjectivity. The construction of Platonic computer consists of 3 steps. Number 1, meta-consciousness manifests itself into existence, from nothing to something, from 0 to 1. Number 2, binary states are structured and the metaphysical switches are constructed with unmanifested meta-consciousness and manifested meta-consciousness. Number 3, structured binary states are configured into 3 faculties to form an operating metacomputation system. So the space and its contents are processing output of metacomputation system. Basically, metaconsciousness digitalizes itself so it becomes computable. The processing output of the computation is time, space, and contents within space, i.e. the phenomenal universe. Let's do some analysis of Metacomputics model in terms of its parsimony and internal consistency, supporting evidence, its explanatory power, its testability, and its applications. By building a new model of universe, we managed to make a paradigm shift from materialist science to post-materialist science on several grounds. Ontologically, we shift from matter being primary to consciousness being primary. Methodology-wise, we shift from reductionism to holism. We also have a new set of language tools to deploy. Mathematics used to be the sole language of traditional materialist science. Now, in addition to mathematical equations, we also have algorithm in the new paradigm. You might say, but the proposed Platonic computer is an abstract computer that is not accessible to us. How can we do any analysis to it? Well, it is true that we cannot access Platonic computer by our normal senses. However, we have access to its shadow, the physical computer. By manipulating the physical computer, we can learn a great deal about the Platonic computer. By programming a physical computer and generating virtual reality, we can simulate how Platonic computer generates physical reality. Of course, the shadow isn't the real thing. We can simulate a hurricane on the computer screen, but we won't get wet or blown away. The hurricane on the computer screen is only a poor imitation of the physical hurricane in the space. Nevertheless, a physical computer can simulate the dynamic changes of the weather so that a weather forecast can be made with a reasonable level of accuracy. Metacomputics model offers a new perspective to many fundamental concepts, so they become easy to understand within the new theoretical framework. For example, time is the internal clock of Platonic computer operated by alternating binary states. This definition of time fits much better to our experience of time compared to what physics tells us. In physics, time is just the parameter t. Past, future, and present are the same t. Past and future are even symmetrical. Whereas in Metacomputics model, past is the processed metadata, future is the metadata yet to be processed. The present is the moment when metadata is being processed. 3D space is processing output of Platonic computation. Space is not given. Without computation, 3D space doesn't even exist. In our model, space functions as a 3D display made of pixels. Once we have a 3D display, we can then display infinite amount of diverse contents, i.e. the universe. The contents of the space are also processing output of Platonic computation. With this new paradigm, we will have new perspective. From a new perspective, we will have new understanding of the universe. We will be able to explain many phenomena which we couldn't explain before. In Metacomputics framework, matter is a stable data structure programmed to have physical, chemical, or biological properties. For instance, those pool balls are programmed to behave as though they are solid balls. The solidity is determined and achieved by programming. Laws of nature expressed by physics are approximation of program subroutine in Platonic computer. An apple is programmed to fall at an acceleration of 9.8 meters per second square. Magnets are programmed to repel or attract to each other according to their polarity. Physics still cannot explain what causes magnetism. Here we explain it with programming. We postulate that in Metacomputics database, there is a subset of data which have a highly stable data structure and robust program to govern those data structures. This subset of data structure thus appear at phenomenological level as obeying the law of physics. Therefore, physics is a special case of metacomputics. What is entanglement? In Metacomputics model, the two particles are basically two outputs in 3D space from running the same program. It is like two dots on the computer screen. They entangle by programming. Platonic computation not only outputs physical reality, it is also responsible for producing non-physical realities in parallel universes, such as what we experience in ESP state, in dreaming state, in meditation state, in psychedelic state, and in near-death state. The perceptual experience in these states of consciousness, according to this model, are not illusion or fantasy. They are processing output of Platonic computer as parallel universes. As we can see, the proposed model of metacomputics is able to offer a coherent narrative of how the perceived phenomenal world arises from meta-consciousness. It also has explanatory power to explain not only phenomena that are covered by physics, but also phenomena that cannot be explained by existing materialistic science theories. A big problem we have here is, do we have evidence to prove the existence of Platonic computer? The Platonic computer, according to this model, is located in Platonic realm. But does Platonic realm even exist? It is not possible to access the Platonic realm by our normal senses or by using current scientific instruments. However, we cannot deny the existence of abstract entities such as numbers, geometric shapes, and other universals. Numbers are not physical objects. No one has ever bumped into the number 2 or tripped over the number 3. We cannot find number 4 in the kitchen cupboard. And yet, we do things with numbers all the time. We count with them. We measure things with them. We formulate our scientific theories with them. Without the existence of numbers, we wouldn't be able to have a physics. Without physics, there wouldn't be science. Numbers has a reality independent of physical reality. They have to be accommodated somewhere outside space and time, i.e., in Platonic realm. If Platonic realm contains mathematics, can it also contain a computer? We'll discuss the supporting evidence for the reality of Platonic computer using Savant syndrome and the existence of non-physical calculator. Savant syndrome is a condition in which someone with significant mental disability demonstrates certain abilities far in excess of average. Calendar savant, for example, can name the day of the week of the date in a range of a millennium. There are well-documented cases of autistic children who can give answers to complex mathematical problems. The answers just appear to them, indicating that their minds function as a display of computation output. This is a Chinese autistic savant called Zhou Wei. He has been on many TV shows where he demonstrates his capability of getting answers to complex math problems. This is one of the TV shows called The Brain, where a randomly chosen audience gave a math problem on a whiteboard. The problem is then passed on to him. He then writes down the answer. According to him, the answers just appear to him, and he doesn't know where they come from. Capabilities such as this can also be acquired through ESP training. In China, there are many private ESP training centers for children to acquire ESP capabilities as a means to improve their school performance. Some parents send their children for ESP training as extracurricular activity. The children are trained to use their mind vision for touch reading, remote viewing, and photography. This is one of the competitions held among different ESP training centers in China. The competitions include restoring Rubik's Cube blindfolded and play basketball blindfolded. They have to use their mind vision instead of physical eyes to complete the tasks. The children can be trained to access a non-physical calculator to get answers to math problems. A calculator appears in their mind vision, and they can simply key in the math problem in their mind vision, and the answer then appears in their mind vision. This is one of the sessions where the trainer gives the math problem by randomizing the digits using a deck of cards. In this case, the math problem is a 20-digit number to the power of 2-digit number. The girl keys in these digits in a non-physical calculator in her mind vision, and then reads out the answers displayed in her mind vision. The answer is then checked using a physical calculator. This is another ESP training center in Zhejiang, China, where the children learn to access non-physical calculator among other ESP skills. For these children, the non-physical calculator is an objective instrument which they can interact with in their mind vision. Among these children, it's regarded as a publicly perceivable object. The mind vision can also be transferred into mobile phone image gallery by photography. It appears that images held in those children's mind vision can be airdropped into image gallery of a mobile phone nearby. This is an example of practice sessions children undergo ESP training do as homework. This boy is working on some math problems assigned by the trainer using the non-physical calculator in his mind vision. The assignment is to write down the answer displayed in his mind vision on the answer sheet, and also to airdrop his mind vision into the image gallery in his mobile phone nearby. This is a photographic video clip taken by a child of the process of keying math problems into the non-physical calculator in his mind vision. The light bulb is the focus of his attention, and it is used to key in the math problem he is working on. This photographic video clip shows that the non-physical calculator in the mind vision can display as many digits in the answer as needed. The digits in the answer appear to be endless. He can also bring the digits forward as well as backwards with the focus of his attention displayed here as a light bulb. This is one of the exercises kids attending ESP training do as homework. The boy will pick up a random paper sample which contains 5 symbols but are folded and stapled. The samples are provided by the trainer. Firstly, he will label the sample. And also label the recording sheet. He will then use ESP to display the content in his mind vision and write down the content on the recording sheet. So he's writing down his answers on the recording sheet. After he has recorded the content on the recording sheet, he will airdrop the content in his mind vision onto his mom's mobile phone nearby. He's calling his mom to come to unlock the phone. Here comes his mom. The phone is locked, so it needs his mom's fingerprint to unlock it. The new image added to the image gallery is then displayed. This is what the boy airdropped onto this phone as a new image. And then the two results are compared. The recording sheets record the same image, the same sample. The original sample are then cut open. And this is compared with the recording sheet. It's perfect match. Then it's compared with the image on the mobile phone, which the boy airdropped using photography. I don't have time to expand photography in this talk. If you are interested in recent development in photography, please refer to this talk I gave last year at the Society for Psychical Research. Photographic applications would have immense implications. It is a potential powerful tool to make private experience public. Photography also has the potential to become an enabling technology to provide direct hard evidence of the non-physical existence in parallel universes. As ESP is incompatible with current materialist science, I don't expect these results will be accepted by mainstream scientific community. Not yet anyway. Within parapsychology community, however, I'm hoping we can take these results seriously. If anyone in parapsychology community is interested in looking into this ESP and photography further, we can collaborate on further robust experimental protocols and programs working with those children. If we can confirm the existence of the non-physical operating calculator, we would obtain a supporting evidence for the existence of the Platonic computer. A robust model of reality is expected to make testable predictions. Here we discuss a few predictions or inferences Metacomputics model is able to make. Prediction number 1. If the physical universe is a processing output of computation, space and time will have to be discrete instead of continuous. Computation is inherently discrete and cannot handle continuous time and continuous space. We can use Zeno's paradox as a thought experiment to prove this is the case. If space and time are continuous, the remaining distance can be divided infinitely. then Achilles will never have his last step. Without the last step, he will never reach the final destination. The fact Achilles does reach the destination is a proof that there is the last step. The last step is the size of the pixel in space. Prediction number 2. Real cause of change is programming. Programming causes changes. Therefore, change can happen without physical cause. This happens at astronomical scale in the case of the movement of the sun through space, and at the micro scale, the fluctuation of the quantum field. In both cases, there is no apparent physical cause for those dynamic movements. There is no need for physical cause. Programming does the job. Prediction number 2 has many subsidiary predictions. For example, we call this P2.1, that is, objects have no causal power. The movement of the blue ball is not caused by the white ball. The real cause of the blue ball's movement is the underlying program. The white ball simply triggers the program. We call this subsidiary prediction P2.1.1. If objects have no causal power, then neurons, which are objects themselves, do not cause any of our behaviors or conscious experiences. We can test this prediction by out-of-body experience and near-death experience. Prediction number 3. As we mentioned before, 3D space is a display, like a computer screen. Information is not stored in the screen. Information is stored in database, a Platonic computer, and therefore is non-local in space. This prediction can be tested by ESP, including telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition, and thoughtography. Prediction number 4. As we discussed before, physics are program subroutines in Platonic computer. If program is altered, physics will be altered. We can test this prediction by carrying out PK experiments, another well-known parapsychology topic. There are many potential applications of Metacomputics model. For example, in healing and healthcare, we are working with professionals to treat medical conditions, particularly those which cannot be treated effectively by mainstream medical means, such as phantom pain and autism. In principle, if everything is processing output of Platonic computation, then everything can be changed if the underlying program is changed. We understand that the brain is not the cause of those conditions, so we don't work with the brain. Instead, we work at the underlying programming level. As we have seen, the simulation hypothesis is heavily dependent upon parapsychology research and experimentation to provide evidence and to verify or falsify its many predictions. Of course, many of the suggested parapsychological experiments have been done in the past. However, they have been largely ignored or rejected by mainstream scientific community. Now, if they are part of an experimental program to verify or falsify a new theory, these experiments and experimental results will become more meaningful and impactful to scientists. It is hoped that the further development of the simulation hypothesis and its predictions will engage and involve more mainstream scientists into parapsychological experimental programs. Being an important part of verification program for new scientific theory, parapsychology will become an advanced and respected new science discipline. Parapsychology and the simulation hypothesis are mutually dependent upon each other. If psi is not accepted, simulation hypothesis cannot be proven. If simulation hypothesis is not accepted, psi cannot be explained. They can be likened to twin engines of an airplane. Only when working together, real and significant progress in post-materialistic science will be made. As a result, a new renaissance, a new era of human civilization will start to dawn. In summary, Metacomputics model presumes the existence of an operating computer in Platonic realm. The Platonic computer is made by, of, with, and from metaconsciousness. Metaconsciousness, defined as power to conceive, to perceive, and to be self-aware, is the most fundamental and irreducible existence. Space and its contents arise from metaconsciousness by computational processing of the Platonic computer. Psi is to take center stage in post-materialist science, while physics finds itself being a special case. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to further discussion and collaboration.
Thank you very much, Simon. That was a very thorough and thought-provoking talk that you gave. I really enjoyed it very much. I'm sure our audience did too. And I'm seeing lots of hearts plugging up, so I see that they did. So one of the questions that came up early on was who designed the Platonic computer? And I think you answered that with meta-consciousness.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's a matter of consciousness, which is the source of creation. Mm-hmm. And one of the characteristics is the power to conceive. So with this power, it can conceive anything. But to conceive anything, it's good to have a tool to use. And in this day and age, I think the best tool we can think of is the computer. And it's the simplest tool. You just need to have a binary. Then you can build data, you can build a program, you can build the processor. So with those, you can just create anything, as has been demonstrated by virtual reality we are creating. So ultimately, it's the creative power, the power to conceive of the meta consciousness, which designed and maintained the operation of this computer.
Mm-hmm. And so would you say that consciousness can't be computed? I've heard various people say that the consciousness exists outside of the simulation.
Well, consciousness is a concept people using to describe different things. So different people have different meaning of consciousness. In this model, I separate the content of consciousness with the consciousness itself. Yeah. So in this model, the consciousness is actually contentless. It's just the power. It's the power to conceive, to perceive, and to have the subjectivity. So with this power, you create the computer. The processing of the computation, producing the contents you perceive. So there's two parts. Yeah, the consciousness, which is the creative power, and which creates the computer. And the contents are processing output of this computer. So the computation doesn't create consciousness. The computation creates the contents of our conscious experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. And we have a question from Payman, our earlier speaker. He asks, and I'll actually invite him to stage. He asks, "What's the difference between a quantum computer and Platonic computer?"
I'm not an expert of quantum computer, so my understanding of quantum computer is limited. For me, quantum computer, to me, is a very powerful computer. That's what I can understand. I don't understand the detail. But the Platonic computer, being non-physical, is already powerful enough. It doesn't have the limitation for material, such as if you make a computer using silicon material, you have resistivity, which gets hot when the currents pass through, and you have to cool it. And it has impedance, it has interference, and there's all sorts of material limitations in a physical computer. Yeah, but a non-physical computer in the Platonic realm, it's a perfect computer. It doesn't suffer from those limitations. Therefore, it's already a powerful computer. And I don't really see the need for quantum computer in Platonic realm. I think binary computer is going to be powerful enough. Yeah, but quantum computer in the physical level can be seen as a manifestation of one version of Platonic computer. It becomes more complex, but in the abstract form, I think you only need binary.
We're running low on time here, but so I have some other questions. Did that answer your question, Raymond?
Yes.
Good. One of the questions that got voted by several people is they're wondering if the children of China are engaging in ESP training, whether or not they desire it or if it's causing them stress. And it seems like they're having fun, but they wonder about their self-esteem if they can't perform.
Yes, that happens. That happens a lot. If a stranger gets involved and want to verify what they are doing, and they are having fun. That's for sure. I mean, just now they have a summer school. They spend the summertime doing this training. They thoroughly enjoy it, and they have a sense of achievements. Yeah. They feel they become capable. And also, after those training, even they don't use psi, their maths become much better, normal maths. I think they have a more understanding of the numbers now. They have a connection with the meaning of number in the Platonic realm. Instead of just the symbol, they actually understand deeply what number is. So their math capability improves enormously. Yeah. Come back to the question, they get stressed. They get stressed when we test them. Okay. Sometimes I test them online through Zoom, and they don't perform as well. They take much longer. They can take tens of minutes. Whereas at home, they do homework. It takes seconds for them to get the answer, and for them to airdrop them, the answer into the mobile phone. It takes seconds. Whereas online, facing me, and I sort of randomize numbers, I give them problem, and I monitor how they perform and whether they cheat or not. And in that condition, they perform badly. Yeah, sometimes I was talking to a girl online, and she started to cry. She couldn't make it. Yeah. Whereas on her own, she does it happily. Yeah. Yes. Sometimes I'm wondering whether they are cheating. But don't forget, those parents pay a lot of money for this training, lots of money. Some high class, advanced class parents can pay tens of thousands of dollars. So there's no need. It doesn't make sense for them to cheat. The children are old enough. They know the parents are paying. And the parents are facilitating their homework. They know whether they are cheating or not. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. Thank you so much for that. I'm a public school teacher, and I know the realities of the stress in testing, and it was interesting to hear your response for that. And I loved your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we're going to have to take a break now, and come back at 10:25. But when we have the Q&A with everybody who's been part of this panel, then we'll be able to get into some of the things more. But yes, thank you very much, Simon. And we'll see everyone.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see everyone back at 10:25, and at that time we will be hearing from Rizwan Burke on the simulation and its implications for remote viewing, UFO sightings, NDEs, and the Mandela effect.
Thank you.
Thanks.